In this module, you will investigate the structure of a conceptual research paper. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the typical structure of a conceptual research paper and apply that knowledge in organizing your term research paper. Research papers fall into three major categories. 1, empirical papers. 2, conceptual papers. And 3, informational papers. Empirical papers are generally written by academics who apply scientific method in researching a specific topic with the specific intent of adding to existing discipline knowledge. Core components of their research method are a hypothesis, an intensive literary review of existing knowledge, and a recognized research methodology that is statistically valid. While empirical research is focused on collecting and analyzing primary data through such processes as surveys, focus groups, clinical studies, etc., the conceptual paper relies on existing or secondary data. That existing data provides the foundation for the researcher to apply critical reasoning and creative reflection in generating new and innovative practical applications. The researcher may combine existing data in a new way to address and solve a current need. On the other hand, the researcher may take knowledge from one or two different disciplines and show how that theory can be applied in application to the targeted situation. Informational papers come in a variety of formats, including how-to papers, practitioner interviews, explanations about new products, strategies, and laws. The writer of an information paper tends to share his or her own insight and observations about the topic, often without conducting a literary review or citing references. These papers tend to be much shorter in length than either the empirical or conceptual papers. Let's examine these three types of research papers by looking at a few articles that appeared in the Journal of Financial Planning. In just about every monthly publication of the Journal of Financial Planning, you'll find at least one empirical paper. That's because the journal serves as a primary outlet for publication by academic practitioners in the field of financial planning, which is important because academic inquiry is vital for establishing and forwarding financial planning as a recognized profession. For this example, I examined the article, The Psychology of Wealth, Psychological Factors Associated with High Income by Brad Klontz and 3 of his colleagues. You'll notice on the image of this article, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the slide, that they begin with an executive summary, which briefly describe their research method, summarize the findings, and frame the relevancy of their discovery. They organized the paper with 6 major topic headings, which clearly align with formatting of empirical studies. Those topic headings were 1, literary review, 2, research question, 3, methodology, 4, results, 5, discussion, and 6, references. That is a very common format. Notice that there were several subtopic headings within the methodology and results sections of the paper. The headings and subtopic headings provided a clear structure and flow for the paper. Okay, now let's compare this format to the concept paper, which appears in the following 3 slides. My first article is entitled Retirement Planning by Targeting Safe Withdrawal Rates by David Zolt. In this paper, the author advocates for a third way to think of safe retirement withdrawals, which he calls target percentage adjustment with a 3% max. His paper is structured with essentially 5 major topic headings. 1, 3 ways to think about safe withdrawal rates. 2, communicating withdrawal rates. 3, case studies. 4, conclusion. And 5, references. He actually had each of the case studies as a separate topic heading, but you get the idea of the structure. In the first section, he cites Bergen's seminal article from 1994 entitled Determining Withdrawal Rates Using Historical Data, which suggested a 60-40 allocation with a 4% withdrawal rate. He referred to that approach as traditional. He then cited his own 2013 article entitled Achieving a Higher Safe Withdrawal Rate with a Target Percentage Adjustment, where he described a target percentage adjustment approach. He then describes his revised withdrawal plan supported by a table. So you see, the paper begins with the existing knowledge and then moves forward by explaining the new concept, discussing how to communicate it to clients, and providing evidence with 3 case studies. His conclusion summarizes the benefit of the approach. The second example is the article Defining Financial Planning with a 4-Factor Decision Model by Nathan Gehrig. The author's premise is that the client's financial decisions reflect the interplay of 4 variables: financial analysis, money scripts, emotions, and overall well-being. You'll notice that there are 6 major topic headings in this conceptual paper. Factor 1, financial analysis. Factor 2, money scripts. Factor 3, emotions. Factor 4, overall well-being. Using the 4-factor model in financial planning and the future of the profession. In this paper, the author integrated his secondary research in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th topic headings. That clearly made sense, considering the flow of the paper, as each of the 4 factors were systematically explained. So the 2 unique insights or concepts that the author brings to the table are: 1, decisions reflect the interplay of these 4 variables, and 2, decision-making can be improved when the planner sits down with the client and walks through each of the 4 issues, or what he calls quadrants. As a practitioner reader, I finished the paper with a clear takeaway that I can use with clients. It's a fresh idea grounded in existing knowledge. By the way, the author really addressed the practitioner reader in the paper. He sounded authentic and credible. The third and final example of a conceptual paper is in the article Policy-Based Financial Planning as a Decision Architecture by David Yeski and Elisa Bowie. Now, David is a recognized academic, so aspects of his paper overlap with the empirical format. Specifically, he offers an executive summary, extensive citing of resources, and a lengthy scholarly reference list. However, it offers us a high-level example of a conceptual paper. You'll notice that there were 9 major topic headings following the executive summary and introduction. 1, think fast and slow, which alludes to the behavioral finance book by Daniel Kahneman. 2, power of the nudge. 3, policy-based financial planning. 4, 6-step process for developing financial planning policies. 5, applicability of policy-based planning. 6, using principles of choice architecture. 7, incorporating biases into policies. 8, conclusion. And 9, references. Similar to the last example, the author cited existing knowledge and credited numerous authors within the introduction, the first subtopic heading, and the second subtopic heading. That preliminary discussion spread over 2.5 pages. The remaining topics, not including the reference list, spread over 4.5 pages. I mention this breakout because in the end, it's the writer's observations, analysis, new insights that are most important. The foundational knowledge provided by the secondary resource needs to be established, but practitioner reader needs to hear new ideas, creative insights, and new applications of existing knowledge that can be used in helping the financial planning client. The secondary research is just a springboard into the author's new concept. I hope that these sample articles provided you with some perspective and perhaps models for how you might organize your term research paper. One possible linear flow is depicted on this slide. You could begin with a brief introduction that frames the opportunity or challenge and provides an overview of what you'll be sharing with the reader. Then you move into describing your secondary research, the existing theory and practice management knowledge. This description will probably represent about 25% of your paper. You then transition into developing and sharing your unique ideas, observations, or insights about using existing knowledge for a new application. You might share some client success stories, if possible, because they would add credibility for the practitioner reader. Remember, your message about how to apply the knowledge in serving your client is the core and will probably represent about 2/3 of your paper. Finally, you would end the paper with a conclusion and reference list. Again, let me say, your unique concept is grounded in existing theory, the existing knowledge, but your ideas go beyond that. You're offering a unique concept or new application of an existing concept that you believe can help the practitioner reader better serve his or her clients. The image on this slide shows a more integrated format, and it aligns with the second and the third examples. Rather than completely framing your literary review first, your research is integrated into your preliminary discussions, which set the stage for your subsequent connection to specific client application. The word count weights are somewhat revised, but it's important to again emphasize that it's your concept, your idea about how to work with the client in a more informed way that the practitioner reader needs to hear. That will be their takeaway. The use of headers and subheadings help provide structure for the reader and improve navigation through your article. Think about how you want your paper to flow. Create useful headers and subheadings, and consider using a different font size and even possibly a different color. Informational papers are typically much shorter than concept papers, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 pages, and generally lack more than one reference, if that. Rather, the writer shares his or her own observation or practitioner knowledge. Common types of informational papers appearing in the Journal of Financial Planning include practitioner interviews, practice management articles, explanations of a planning technique, strategy, or a way to do something, and summaries of a new law, survey, or trend. If you intend to submit your paper for publication, which I hope you do, then it makes sense to go about it strategically. First, figure out what publication you want to target. Once you know that, then read or at least review several of their published articles. That will give you a sense of who their target reader is, how long the articles are, and the tone of the writing. Look at some of their conceptual papers. By matching the general style of that journal or magazine to your writing, you'll have a better chance of being accepted. Of course, at some point, you'll need to review the editor's formatting and submission guidelines. In this lesson, you learned about the typical structure of a conceptual paper and organizing your term research paper.